Vikings are everywhere in pop culture: horned helmets, brutal raiders, lawless warriors from the frozen north. Almost none of it is accurate. Today we're busting 5 Viking myths that Hollywood, video games, and even some textbooks still get wrong. Start with the most iconic image of all, the horned helmet. Archaeologists have never found a single Viking-era helmet with horns, not one, out of hundreds of excavated Norse burial sites. The horned helmet actually comes from 19th century Romantic-era opera costume design, specifically Wagner's Ring Cycle, where a costume designer added horns for dramatic stage effect. It stuck in popular imagination and got permanently baked into how we picture Vikings nearly 1,000 years after the Viking Age actually ended. Vikings certainly raided, that's well documented, but the uniquely savage reputation comes almost entirely from one biased source: the written accounts of Christian monks, who were often the raid victims themselves and had strong religious motivation to paint their attackers as godless savages. Meanwhile, violence and warfare across medieval Europe at the time was routinely brutal on all sides. The Vikings weren't an outlier. They were just the ones getting the worst press, since their victims were often the ones holding the pens. The Vikings sounds like one group, but there was no unified Viking nation or kingdom. Viking was actually a verb before it was a noun. Old Norse for going on an expedition or going raiding. The people we call Vikings were Scandinavians from dozens of separate, often rival chiefdoms and kingdoms across what's now Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, who happened to share a language and culture but frequently fought each other as much as outsiders. The dirty barbarian stereotype doesn't hold up either. Archaeological digs have uncovered Viking-era combs, tweezers, and ear cleaners in huge numbers. Vikings are actually documented by contemporary English writers as bathing weekly, which was unusually frequent for medieval Europe. There's even a theory that the word Saturday comes from Logardagur, Old Norse for washing day. Popular culture almost exclusively shows male warriors, but archaeology tells a more complicated story. A famous 2017 DNA analysis of a high-status Viking warrior grave in Birka, Sweden buried with weapons, a war strategy board game, and 2 horses confirmed the skeleton was biologically female. It reopened a real academic debate about how many women may have participated directly in Viking raids and warfare, a possibility historians had long dismissed based on assumption rather than evidence. History gets flattened by pop culture more than people realize. If you want more myths busted, subscribe. New video every week.